guys! Thanks for joining me again for another Pixie Talks review vlog.
Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks. Pixie Talks, reviews and vlogs at Pixie Talks.
Woo! Merry Christmas! Now I do have a little bit of a cold, so if my voice is off, I'm very sorry. Please bear with me. I hope you're having a very Merry Christmas with your friends and families, and I wish you all the best for this holiday season. And as tradition on my channel, this year's Christmas special video will be on a rendition of the Nativity story. Growing up, there were a couple of cartoon series that I watched about Bible stories, both of which involved characters from our time going back in time to experience the stories firsthand. One of them was Superbook, an anime about a couple of kids and their robot. The other was called Greatest Adventures, Stories from the Bible, and it was about a group of paleontologists. And as a kid, I always liked Superbook better because A, it was about kids like me, B, it had a robot in it, and C, it was anime, and I've just always gravitated to the anime style. So I thought that I would look into the Superbook Christmas story episode, and I found it on YouTube, and wait, what is this? This is not Superbook. Oh, they remade it in crappy 3D? How dare you! Superbook was really cute, anime cartoon, now it's generic, cheap 3D crap. Ah! Greatest Adventures it is. Greatest Adventures doesn't actually age too terribly, I'm happy to say. For a series of cartoons from the 80s, it's still perfectly watchable today and portrays the Bible stories very well. Its humor might be a little, well, cardboard, but for a kid's series, it's not bad. It revolves around a trio of paleontologists who discover a passage through time in an ancient dig and end up traveling through Bible stories for the duration of the series. This particular episode is, of course, the story of Christmas. Derek, Margot, and Moki find themselves in the midst of the census amongst travelers headed for Jerusalem. There they end up hearing a group of rich travelers discussing with the king of Jerusalem about a prophecy involving a new king for Israel about to be born. Meanwhile, two travelers, Joseph and his pregnant wife Mary, are on their way to the small little town of Bethlehem. Okay, so you know the story, I know the story, we all know the story. The question is, how well do they portray the story? Well, I think that the stories in the Greatest Adventure series come across fairly well. The voice acting is, in my opinion, the best asset that this series has. The voice work is absolutely great, and it needs to be since the animation is pretty low budget. There's not a lot of movement to these images, and a good voice really helps to create that immersive experience. And this excels at that. The humor is, as I said, a little juvenile and cardboard and mainly focuses on an attempt at wacky hijinks amongst our time-traveling characters. It's also worth noting that it's super weird how nobody in this time period questions our time travelers' clothes or accents. In fact, there's no language barrier at all, which is really strange, and nobody thinks to ask where on earth these guys are from. But that's all to be expected from a kids' show. There's no point dwelling on their strangeness when you have a limited period of time in which to tell a different story altogether. And if every episode was overly concerned with asking the "where on earth are you from" questions, it would get tedious pretty quickly. What is super annoying though is the big show that the characters make about not knowing what story they're in, even though they are all evidently quite familiar with Bible stories. There's a census going on. Oh, that's neat. 3 travelers from afar are looking for a baby king. Well now, that sounds strangely familiar. The baby is prophesied to be born in Bethlehem. I still can't place it. We've been following a star. Wait. A baby is about to be born, an important baby. Oh, Jesus, right? I'm so smart. Now, the animation is limited, and the art style is fairly nondescript. It's that kind of trying for realism art style that I was never a huge fan of as a kid, but appreciate more now as an adult. It's smooth enough and its characters are at least very memorable, so you know it's doing something right. Other than that, though, it doesn't really pop out as anything out of the ordinary. The story of Mary and Joseph, though, is very well told, and you don't have to be invested in the rest of the series to become engaged with it. The characters are brought to life very well, and the majesty of the story comes across perfectly. It's a beautiful telling of a beautiful story, and it conveyed its characters well, even if it doesn't get a chance to go into as much depth as would a feature-length movie. It's a great rendition and a gem from my childhood, and a perfect reminder of the story of Christmas.
Three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar, field and fountain more.
And that is my review of the greatest adventure rendition of the Nativity. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you are having a wonderfully Merry Christmas. Please be sure to subscribe for more. Next week I'm going to wrap up December with one last Christmas movie, a Marvel Christmas movie. Until then, bye!